and King's College Budo, and his current CV is still growing and very rich, and also having played for the Pirates. He is a Uganda Cup holder with the Pirates down in 2002, and also played for both Impis, Rhinos, Pirates, and the Raiders in Gauteng province down in South Africa, down in his prime career down in the years, and of course played many tests for Uganda in 15s rugby, including the famous Uganda win of the 2007 when they were beating Namibia. In that only time that Uganda has only won Namibia in 2007, and that is that other fixture that Uganda cruised on to win the second Africa Cup tie down in Antananarivo, down in Madagascar, 2007 it was. But of course he missed out on the final piece of the team that made it to Antananarivo to win it down in 2007. What a gent, what a lad, what a gem, an inspiration to many in the circles of rugby.
Oh yes, and with his current size, there's no doubt that he must have been a forward and he must have been in that park. I don't think a man of his size could have been playing as a backliner. Pearson, could you amuse me? Could you tell me that this guy was a scrummer? Something like that.
Maybe perhaps in his kinder, primary, secondary, or anything called university before his genes really paid off right to give him that size. But of course, having played at Impis, that's the university side, the Rhinos, and finishing it up in Pirates, and of course having gotten a touch of the South Africa Pro Rugby down in Gauteng province down in SA, you believe he's one of those that had enormous talent in him, and having played for the national team for a decade is one of those you would have to talk about as a great gentleman in the circles of rugby.
Oh yes, and the game is underway. The Hippos with the ball in white and some yellowish in there, or gold, you could, if you want to call it. The Rhinos in black and yellow. The Hippos on the attack. Oh yes, gets off from the band. Can the defender recover? No, he doesn't get there in time. At strike time, the Hippos touchdown. They don't waste time on their first opportunity. They strike.
Avatars, if you are a Ugandan coach, I believe you can pick Uganda aside, Team B, to go and play on the continent. Even the ones that are left behind, you believe they deserve that call. So arguably, enormous talent we have, and we shall forever be flawless in terms of development, Ugandan rugby, of course. And what a way to display all this, if none other than giving rugby this attention, and great thanks to the parents that are giving their children to play this game, however rough it is, and the schools that really develop up the players, and the universities down there, and not forgetting the sponsors and the coaches who really throw in their bodies, and the players who do tirelessly all it takes to give you this great showpiece of rugby. Entertaining it is, and really, really skillful. We see the best display of rugby here at Kyadondo.
Oh yes, and speaking of our parents who bring their kids on Thursday, on Friday actually, there was a legacy tournament here at Kyadondo, and there were over 300 kids who participated. They were mostly girls, but the Rhinos on the attack. Can they put in a swift response? Goes on the outside. Arnold Chen.
Wow, certainly action is still on, and the ball is still on pitch. Okay, Paul Kalunji there, passing it to Jeremy Tembo there. Oh, what an intercept! What an intercept. And he moves into jam, certainly. And Owen Kigera, a player who would have gotten that ball, condenses play there by securing. Wow, wow, what a run. But of course, wow, what a tackle, Jeremy Tembo there. A strong one. That's a strong player all the way from SMAC, a former SMAC player there, and flanking his roles all the way at Rhinos currently, and a former under-19 representative in the tournament that was concluded last year, under-20 Bathurst Trophy, where Uganda finished 7th last year, and again finishing 7th again this year. Jeremy Tembo, what a gem to count on going forward for the Rhinos.
Oh yes, it will be a scrum down. It will be a scrum down, yes. The Rhinos, the Hippos will be having the ball, and the Rhinos have to defend this one. The Hippos will want to extend their tally You would be asking yourself, can they manage to do that? If they do, it will be a very tricky game for the Rhinos. Considering 2 early tries, they would not be wanting to be in that situation.
Well, this action really looks like it's a big game. And yes, it is big in its strength because they are fighting for a third place in themselves. And whoever loses this will fall for the fourth position, and whoever wins will fall for the third. And it is dubbed as the bronze final here. And of course, the Hippos are looking very, very strong, and they want it more. But of course, you don't doubt the strength that the Rhinos had, especially that semi-final they had against the Heathens, which was really the only 4 difference that they had with 2 tries in them. Jeremy Temple there collecting it for the Rhinos, passing it down for Shadrach, passing it on to Ochen Arnold, the Rhinos captain for this circuit. And yes, he cruises on after handing off 3 of his other nemesis there. And he seems to be jogging, neither sprinting, to the try line. Try time as Arnold Ochen touches down for the Rhinos. What a way to show great stewardship as captain, especially when you're a Rhino who's coming in the shoes of Shimwa and Olango, who are on national team trials or training down there.
Oh yes, Arnold Ochen showing great strength, shrugging off the defender.
It's nowadays called great maturity.
Maturity, it is, but then I shrugged off the defender with so much ease. And we know his pace. Pearson, if you could remember back then, sometime back when him and his brother were representing Chambogo University in the University Sevens, those two, yes, Donald Bakeri, those two were showing blistering pace, and Chambogo ended up victors, courtesy of the help of those 2 players.
And by the way, that tie between Makeri and Chambogo ended scoreless all the way, and they were the openers of the tournament. But McHugh, that was a big one. But of course, by the overall round robin results, Chambogo cruised away with the trophy. And it was dramatic in the awarding ceremony as the Makere students never allowed Chambogo to get crowned at their home ground at night. And it was really dramatic, led by Alhaji Manano, the coach for Chambogo, who were crowned and really given their trophy and the medals in the parking lot in the night zone. Really, really, really dramatic it was. But yes, Chambogo was that team. And of course, Ochen, together with his brother Opio, were the best men there who really gave Chambogo mileage going into that University Sevens there, which they won Chambogo.
But that was a very tight one because it was, I think, 12 points that decided the trophy. You can imagine 12 points, not scored, 12 points difference that decided the trophy. The points had been tied 14 apiece.
Yes.
And it was a very tight one. But we shall be looking forward to the next University Sevens. I'm sure it will be another interesting editions. I think, did they say we shall be going to Nkozi? I don't know. Nkozi, UCU. They're about 4, I think. Nkozi, UCU. And I think MUBS, I'm not so sure.
Chambogo will be hosting the next one, and then Uganda Matters University down in Nkozi will be hosting the 3rd one. And there's also one which is rumored to be in Ndeje. How it will happen is another aftermath.
Yeah, and Ndeje has a team of its own. But on the field right now, we have the Rhinos and the Hippos. The Hippos still lead the game 7-5. And the hooter for halftime, I think, has sounded. There is a lot of vuvuzelas. You know the Hippos fans, everywhere they go, they come with the noise and they carry along the vuvuzelas. You could mistake a vuvuzela for the hooter. Yes, the Hippos still on the attack. They decided to kick the ball into touch. Oh yes, the hooter had sounded and the player suddenly had it. Halftime, the Hippos still with a victory, 7-5. Pearson, the game is very tight. This one, what do you think the coaches will be telling their players?
What a matchup. And if you are John Musitwa, the tactician for the Corps, rather the Rhinos here, and together with Saidi Atib, with the tactician for the Hippos there, you believe all teams are playing great. But the only sad point of it is we must have one win at the end of it. And going forward, the Hippos are really, really, really fighting for their lives. But the Rhinos are really looking so much tactical and very, very good on offense there. So what a way to crown off this circuit. What a way to crown off this tournament. The Kyadondo Sevens hosted by the Heathens. And of course the Heathens cruising on to win forward all their games they had all the way from day one till today with a 100% winning margin or record. And they will be playing the Pirates also, who haven't lost any of their games all the way from day one. And we are waiting to see who will be crowned victors and also an MVP in the making. Shall it be Timothy Chisiga? And shall it be Lawrence Seburiba, the fan favorite, who was the MVP crowned at the Rujumba Sevens all the way from Kings Park, but of course never returned to the scorecard as an MVP down in Toro, in the western side of the country, where they finished without a win in that pool game. Rather, they only had one win in their pool games and fell short, falling into the Challenger Trophy games. And from there, it was a walk-up call for the Heathens. And into this tournament that they host, they believe, together with their founders and their former OBs, or call them the old boys, the former players, are here to watch rugby at its best, but giving them the best is crowning it off by a win and winning entirely this very circuit. The Kyadondo Sevens, which are hosted by them. Second half is on as Yassine kicks us off for second half. Center referee Wumal Barikanda there in the green and white respectively.
By the way, Pearson, if I may inform you, Umar is a center referee. His brother is also a referee in soccer. And they are basically a refereeing family. I think four of them, him inclusive, are all referees. So yes, that's a very sporting family, but in terms of officiation, and they have contributed greatly. They have contributed greatly to the officiation in sports. But we have a medical break. The Hippos player is still being tended to.
Well, if you're watching us live from your living room, we are the channel that continues to champion Ugandan sport, and we are NBS. And all the way we believe, if you're using that smartphone, use it right. Stanbic Bank is the only option if you have to think of money and cash outs. And the only place to be is NBS Sport all the way from your living room. And of course, on your Afro mobile, even when you're falling short in that other Kafunda of yours or any other channel and place that has no internet, you believe you can buy enough data, and even when you have no screen in front of you, Afro Mobile is the only way to go. And of course, we bring you live action. It is me, Pearson Makoma. Alongside me is Avitas Ngabirano, sorry. And along me, it will be John Vianney Simbe. Call him the encyclopedia, like many love calling him, alongside to come for the next. We'll be having the ladies final. It will be the Black Pearls up against the Entebbe Avengers. And later on, it will be the final dance of the day. The Heathens up against the Sea Robbers, call them the Stanbic Black Pirates. And of course, like I told you, Stanbic Bank with FlexiPay is the way to go. And the Pirates will be the ones to show you how they cash in and cash out. Gavin Mutara there with the run. And yes, he cruises on. Try time! What a way! Gavin Mutara with that run. An emphatic run it was. And he touches down for the Rhinos. And without a doubt, he gives it to Ivan Chirabo to convert the extras. 5 for the Rhinos. And 7 for... 10 for the Rhinos, actually. And 7 for the Hippos.
A support play from Gavin Mutara. He was very much present, waiting for that opportunity. And when the window opened, he was able to strike. The Rhinos now leading the game. The Rhinos leading this one, but there's a Hippos player on the ground. He's being tended to, and they are indicating that he should be substituted. Remember, he's at the far end of the pitch. He can just be taken off their side, and another player will be coming out for him.
Makita is that player, and he makes his way for the Hippos. And of course, that injury breakdown really isn't the best, as it lessens down the efforts of the Hippos down there, but of course a forced medical substitution which has no option than being replaced or replaceable down there. It is Rhinos 12 and 7 for the Hippos. Ivan Chirabo kicks us off as Arnold Ochen collects it up and winning possession. Yes, what a gem, what a player. Ivan Chirabo looking for Paul Kalunji. Gavin Mutara gets that ball and off his eyes is Ivan Chirabo, who looks optionless, looks for Paul Kalunji and finding that is Jeremy Tembo, who finds that is Arnold Ochen. But of course, Shadrach was on the offside side, so he didn't give him that ball. Ivan Chirabo dancing through, and he finds Shadrach there, but of course moves into some jam. And Avitas, the Rhinos are really looking strong to take on this placement game, and they are so serious in their execution here.
You would like to think that they will score another one. They have a penalty in the 22 of the Hippos, and they opt for a scrum down. They opt for a scrum down. The Rhinos will have another opportunity to strike for the third time in this game. They will have another opportunity to strike once again. It is going to be a very, very, very tight one. The Hippos have to defend strongly, because if the Rhinos score here, it will become very tricky for the Hippos. And the Rhinos collect the space on the outside. Can the defender? No. Then get there in time. 2 meters short. And it is a penalty to the Hippos. They managed to get the penalty. It is the Hippos with the ball. They try to find some gap. No, the Rhinos defense is alert, but it is a penalty. It is a penalty, and the player is down, needing medical attention. The physio, Natasha, an interesting name by the way, Natasha, tending to the player on the ground.
That is Shadrach, the Rhinos player who is down there. Very, very instrumental player in him. But the referee hasn't realized that there's a player who's being attended to down. What a player in that. Ivan Chirabo making that restart to Paul Kalunji. Paul Kalunji making that other oh! Gavin Mutara falling short on that. Seems to be a forward pass, but I guess what a defense, Jacob. Rather, that is Arnold Ochen.
2 against 1, and he managed to beat the defender.
This is a game. This is a game.
It's a very, very tight game. Very tight game. The Hippos were able to capitalize. There was a player of the Rhinos on the ground, and the play continued for about 2 minutes, and the Hippos managed to capitalize on that one-man advantage at the moment. They now lead the game 14-12, and it is malaria time. Malaria time. Both players should be alert, very alert. Whoever scores next would be actually going away with the victory. I think the hooter should be sounding anytime from now. Whoever scores next could potentially go away with the victory and finish third. Opts to kick the ball for Paul Kalungi, uses his feet, finds Chirabo, and the Rhinos on the attack. 1 against 2. They take the man down. The Rhinos decide to recycle. Paul Kalungi tries to find some gap, but it closes. The referee says it is offside. Quick start by Chirabo, finds Paul Kalungi. Can they find a gap? Yes, they do. Gavin collects off the
Godwin Abwang with that run, and he's calling on for support, and he believes he can take on that man. Yes, Godwin Abwang with Gavin Mutara. Yes, they make some magic, and yes, Abwang is that man who runs on to tear the defense of the Hippos apart. And yes, Abwang is that gentleman who is on, and there seems to be Gavin Mutara down, and he stands up. Try time. Gavin Abwang is that player who gives rhythm to the Rhinos here, and what a way to seal it off. What a way to win it, and especially when they thought they were off the crop and rather off the grip, and they are the Rhinos who win it off with the 7-point stopper later on. And what a way Avitas to crown up for the third place finisher here.
A dagger into the hearts of the Hippos. The Hippos have had such losses on very many occasions. They have been hit a couple of times with a last-minute play, and I told you that whoever scores next would go away with the victory, and the Rhinos are able to crown this circuit with third place. And we shall be heading into the finals of the women's game. The Avengers and the Black Pearls meeting once again for the third time in a row. And can the Avengers finally get the better of the Black Pearls? Pearson, what do you think?
And yes, that was it. 19 for the Rhinos and 14 for the Hippos. And down on, this was the third play, or rather third position finish off or playoff that saw the Rhinos cruise off with the bragging rights, and the Hippos falling over that, and they were into that setback position, and they merged fourth of this tournament. And yes, it is Avengers up against the Black Pearls for the main cup finals for the ladies category. And on the kids that you see, all the young gems you see moving on the pitch, the Kampala Giants team that made their way in the Nairobi tournament down there, who managed to come on, and they were runners up there, managing to play that final and falling short. 5-10 it was, losing to the Kenya team, their edge mates down there a month ago. And they are those other lads that you want to count on for the next futures of Ugandan rugby. And there are